While they don't always get the credit that they deserve, calf kicks are excruciatingly painful and outrageously violent, and 9 out of 10 fighters would prefer getting knocked out cold to having their legs chopped down like a tree. To understand why, let's take a look at the most savage calf kick knockouts in MMA history. Chris Gutierrez versus Vince Morales. We'll kick things off with Chris Gutierrez, who put a bad beating on Vince Morales in their featherweight fight in 2020. Much of Gutierrez's offense revolved around attacking his opponent's league leg with some crushing kicks, but the other leg wasn't spared either. Gutierrez pressed Morales early and walked him down the cage while landing one kick after another without mercy. The accumulative damage made it hard for Morales to move fluidly and mount any sort of offense, and after dropping to the canvas multiple times due to calf kicks, he was put out of his misery by the ref early in the second round. Martin Nguyen versus Jadamba. Former one featherweight world champion Martin Nguyen is a mean machine, and he has made some really tough fighters quit, including Mongolia's Jadamba at ONE Roots of Honor in 2019. The fight between the two hard hitters had the featherweight title on the line, and Nguyen defended his territory by staying at distance and picking his opponent apart with calf kicks. The first round was pretty technical, with both waiting for their opportunities, but Nguyen's calf kicks did a lot of damage, thanks to which he was able to win the fight only a minute into the second round. Nguyen landed a few more kicks in round 2 and had his opponent fold at the minute mark with the final calf kick of the night. But midway through Jadamba's fall, a knee to the face took credit for the knockout.
He's hurt! I knew what's going on!
Marlon Moraes versus Joseph Baraja. Former UFC bantamweight title challenger Marlon Moraes was known as one of the better calf kickers in his heyday, and he crushed the legs of some of the best fighters in his division throughout his career, with Joseph Baraja being his top victim. During their World Series of Fighting bantamweight title fight, the Brazilian put on a calf kick clinic against challenger Baraja, who had nothing to offer in return. Moraes absolutely brutalized his calves with crunching kicks for 2 minutes straight, and despite Baraja's constant stance switching, he wasn't able to stay away from the shots that ultimately sent him packing in the first round.
Watch out. Oh, that is not go.
Pedro Rizzo versus Dan Severn. Now, Dan Severn is a true OG of the fight game, and with over 100 MMA fights to his name, his experience in the game is beyond measure. But even legends like Severn are only a few good leg kicks away from losing the plot. When Severn faced a younger and stronger opponent, Pedro Rizzo, at UFC 27, the legend remained on the receiving end of a few excruciatingly painful calf kicks. Rizzo patiently picked his shots, landing one kick after another before finishing the job with a kick just above Severn's kneecap that proved to be the nail in the coffin.
He's really concerned about
Douglas Lima versus Rick Hahn. When it comes to calf kicks, Douglas Phenom Lima is simply one of the best in the world, and when he fought Rick Hahn for the vacant Bellator welterweight title at Bellator 117, he taught his opponent an expert's guide in low kicks. Right off the bat, Lima crushed his opponent with vicious leg kicks, so much so that Hahn had crashed onto the canvas at least a half dozen times in less than 2 rounds before his corner would throw in the towel and save their guy from lasting damage.
That was not.
Lima's calf crushers didn't stop there. He brutalized dozens of fighters with his leg kicks, including Rory McDonald and Michael Venom Page, who the Brazilian famously knocked out with a calf kick followed by a big haymaker. Amanda Nunes versus Shayna Baszler. Now, Amanda the Lioness Nunes is the greatest female MMA fighter of all time, and in her fighting days, not many had an answer to her superiority. Nunes was a monster on the feet as well as on the ground, and although she's known as a puncher, her kicks are equally devastating. The GOAT put her calf kicks on display against MMA fighter turned WWE superstar Shayna Baszler in 2015. The Brazilian powerhouse landed one kick after another, and her strikes wouldn't stop until Baszler would fold onto the canvas and let the referee save her from getting crippled for months.
Oh, that's it. And that's it.
Nunes had lost to Kat Zingano in her fight prior to Baszler, so her win against the American was a major confidence booster. Alex Perez versus Jessie Formiga. Former UFC flyweight title challenger Alex Perez is next on our list of leg crushers. Back when Perez fought Jessie Formiga at UFC 2050 in 2020, he produced calf kicks galore. Perez kicked off the fight with a calf kick, following it up with a crisp combination. For the next 4 minutes, the trend continued as Perez attacked his foe's calves with relentless kicks before throwing a combination or two. Perez's leg kicks were extremely damaging and Formiga's movement was badly compromised only 3 minutes into the first round. With Formiga a stationary target, Perez upped the ante, landing a big uppercut followed by another leg kick to drop his foe. As soon as Formiga got back up to his feet, Perez landed the final calf kick of the night and finished his opponent.
That is a mess. Oh my goodness, it's over. That's it.
Jared Cannonier versus Anderson Silva. Jared Cannonier is a middleweight who looks like a light heavyweight and hits like a heavyweight since he has fought in all 3 divisions. And when he fought the GOAT of all middleweight GOATs, Anderson Silva, he crushed the legend with his tree trunk-like shins. In their middleweight fight at UFC 237 in 2019, Cannonier put on a striking clinic against one of the greatest strikers of all time, using his leg kicks to devastating effect, while also landing a punch or two just for the sake of it. Cannonier butchered Silva's legs with outside leg kicks for 4 minutes before throwing an inside leg kick seconds before the end of the first round, and Silva was down and out. Edson Barboza versus Rafael Oliveira. Edson Jr. Barboza is hands down one of the top 3 kickers in mixed martial arts, and he has produced a number of highlight reel head, body, and leg kick knockouts, like the one against Rafael Oliveira in 2013. The 2 Brazilians locked horns in a lightweight contest at UFC 162, where Barboza took leg kicking to another level by thumping Oliveira's calves with lightning-fast and powerful kicks. There's only so much that a human being can take, and Oliveira couldn't even stand on his feet when the first round ended. A few more leg kicks in the second round, and Oliveira wouldn't get up.
He can't do it much longer. That's it.
Justin Gaethje versus Brian Foster. Justin Gaethje is violence personified, and every strike he throws has more venom than a Western-type hand. He doesn't just unleash pain onto his opponents, but he makes them regret fighting altogether, and that is something Brian Foster had to go through in their World Series of Fighting lightweight title fight in 2016. The fight lasted only 2 minutes as both men came out all guns blazing. Foster was throwing heat with his fists and was certainly landing some good shots, but Gaethje relied heavily on calf kicks, throwing them viciously at regular intervals until Foster couldn't take the pain anymore. The challenger crashed onto the mat after absorbing a dozen calf kicks and screamed in pain, forcing the referee to come to his rescue.
He's giving him a Charles. This is a Benson
Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 2. Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 2 wasn't technically a calf kick knockout, it was more of a calf kicks to punches knockout, but it was one that popularized the move to another level, so it does deserve a mention. When McGregor returned to face Dustin Poirier at UFC 257 in January 2021, he had already beaten Poirier once at featherweight, but at lightweight, things were completely different. Poirier was a completely different animal, with some even going as far as calling him the division's uncrowned champion, and he proved them right. McGregor started the fight in his usual aggressive style, but within seconds, Poirier was in the driving seat, first doing some damage with his takedown, and then absolutely butchering McGregor's calf with devastating kicks throughout round 1. By the start of the second round, any movement that McGregor had was gone. Poirier landed more calf kicks until the Irishman's calf was a balloon, and then the Louisiana native rocked him with a big punch before finishing the job with a dozen more to shock the world. Now with that, we have come to the end of our video on the most savage calf kick knockouts in MMA history. Which one was your favorite? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you liked our video, please show us some love by subscribing and turning on notifications so that way we keep bringing you jaw-dropping knockouts. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.